Okay, in this video I'm going to be showing you how to do a closed form pot. So we'll be making a cylinder, I'll be expanding it out, and then closing the form to then this will be turned into like a pumpkin or something like that. So initially what we're going to do, again, I've already stuck my clay to the wheel head and I'm going to center this up. Clay wet. What I'm doing is I'm squishing this into a cone shape, but I'm also compressing the clay down back to the wheel head to make sure it's nice and tight so the clay doesn't come off. And squishes up to a little taller of a cone. A little more water. And I'm going to chop. Now I'll probably have to cone and chop a couple times here with this much clay. Yep. This clay is a little stiff. Okay, now I have a set of piece of clay I'm going to enter in. Okay, I'm going to use my thumbs. Initially, I will switch to my fingertips here in just a minute. My left hand. Go down some more. Okay, I don't want to go down too much. I want this bottom to be a little thicker, so at least a ½ inch, maybe not maybe 3/4, because I'm changing this into a pumpkin. Ceramic pumpkin, so I want it to be thicker because I'm going to be carving the bottom. Kind of like what a pumpkin looks like. So I want it a good ½ inch, if not a little bit more. So I'll do a quick measurement. Okay, I'm good there. Now I'm going to pull it out. Now you can't really see it, the size of the hole in the bottom, but it's a little bit bigger than what you see here. Okay, so it's a little bit bigger than the small circular sponge that typically is in your buckets. So I'll flatten out the bottom just a little bit. Now I'm going to compress and pull at this point. And bring that clay up just a little bit. So first thing we got to do is make it a cylinder. Okay, we're making a cylinder. We definitely don't want this flaring out. Okay, we're going to leave the top a little thicker as we pull this together. The amount of clay that's in here is about 3.5 pounds. Okay, work it. Now I don't want to make this too thin, okay, in the walls, because I am going to expand it and close it, and I need this clay to be a little thicker so it can withstand the tension of the form. Okay. So it is getting bigger, but I'm not really pushing it to get it thin. I'm really just what I'm trying to do right now is just get some of this clay from the bottom up into the form. Okay, that's the main thing I'm doing right now. I'm just trying to get this clay up. Okay. Right now, what I'm going to actually do is clean up the bottom a little bit. Get rid of some of this clay. There you go. Just kind of feeling the thickness. One more last little pull. Okay. Water out. So initially what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to close this form up just a little bit. Like so. I'm not too concerned if it's wobbling a little bit because the whole thing is going to be closed up. You'll see here in just a minute. Okay, now at this point I'm going to expand. Now I'm also not exactly worried about the bottom either because I'm going to trim the thickness of this away. Hand trim it to make it look more like an actual pumpkin. So expand this form, expand the bottom out. The wonderful thing about pumpkins is they're all different shapes and sizes. This does not have to be perfect. Okay, collar this in. Push on that just a little bit. As I'm lifting this, I'm going to lift and definitely push it away from me. I'm going to close. Okay, and I'm going to lift again. This is why we leave the top a little thicker and the clay overall thicker, because this top is going to get thinner and thinner as I do this. But I don't want it, like if it was too thin to begin with, I wouldn't be able to do this. So some of the hard things to do with closed forms like this is the fact that we're trying to make sure this thing doesn't collapse from the weight and the tension. Okay, getting closer. Okay, now before I close it, I'm going to double check the outside shape. Grab my rip tool here. Oh, there we go. Taking the curve side, okay, you can do this with the metal rib sponge, the metal rib. I have this little silicone one, but it'll do the same thing. Okay, now take the slip off of that. What I'm actually going to do is clean this off just a touch. I think, why are you doing that? You're just going to close it up. Yeah, but I'm also, before I do that, I think I'm going to try blowing in it a little bit to see if I can get this form to expand just slightly. So I'm just cleaning up. I think that's really gross. Yeah, it is, but Okay. Head down here. There we go. You saw that in the film, in the video, it just popped up a little bit. Close it up. Yes, I did get clay on my mouth. I just wiped it off quickly. Okay. Also, thinking about a pumpkin, it comes up and it has like tension, right, as it comes up to the actual stem. So as I close this, I'm actually going to, before I seal it up, I'm going to collapse a little bit of this spout here. Just push it down just a little bit as I collapse it. The reason I do that before I close it is because as soon as I close it up, the air pressure inside will be a little harder for me to do that. So I want to make sure I do that, collapse it a little bit. Of course, I don't want the whole thing to collapse, the whole form, but there we go. Get a little more water on my hands here. Up. So right now, it actually kind of looks a little bit like an apple. Okay, just a little bit like a large, very large apple. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to take my rib tool and just finesse the shape a little bit. Like so. Okay. Now I'm going to get, you can use lots of different tools. So my wood knife's got this curve end. You can use the backside of a regular wood knives. I have these chopsticks, okay? You can use those as well. Mine is to stick on the sponge, but I'll use the chopsticks so you can see, because I have lots of these that you can be able to see. I'm going to come up like that. I'm going to smooth it out just a little bit. Really just making a line, the initial indentation of the pump, you know, the lines that come down the side of the pumpkin, right? As the pumpkin grows, it gets those growth lines and as it expands. So this is just the initial one. What's going to happen is that after I've taken this out the wheel and it's gotten a little harder, I will actually cut the top off like we do with the normal pumpkins at an angle, right? And you take it and you take all the seeds and gunk out, but there won't be any gunk or seeds in this one, obviously. But this will come off. And that way, then I can work on the inside a little bit and push the outside, like in between the lines out just a little bit. I don't know if you can tell, but you can tell as I push on this, like I move my hand and like, because of the air pressure, it's like moving back the form. I'll use this. Let's do that line. There's one. I'll smooth those lines out here in just a minute. Okay, there we go. Now, I'll get my hands smooth these lines out. Again, I'm not completely worried about how thick or thin this is. I mean, I want it fairly even through the whole body, but you know, it's a decoration piece. It's not something you would necessarily drink out of or eat out of. It's a decoration because I'm gonna cut the top and I'll make a little like design on the front, like you do normal pumpkins, jack-o'-lanterns, and it'll, you know, just for fun. Again, I'm not too worried about any of my finger marks either at this point. Right? A lot of this will be cleaned up and worked on, especially at the leather hard stage, right? Because I'll clean up the bottom, so all these will look like they all come down to the point right underneath the pumpkin. Light turned off. There it goes. And then, yeah. I'm also going to show what I do with the stem here in just a second. So I'm going to push this down just a little bit, and I'll take, I'm going to squish this because the stems aren't perfect, right? They're always weird shapes. It causes twisting motion to go on. So I've squished it, and now I'm twisting it just by hand. Okay. To the other side so I can get it. Now I'm also starting to think about, because the top comes down and the stem comes down and it kind of like has these sprawling ends that go like from the connection from the pumpkin itself to the stem. So I'm thinking about how that's going to look as well, because it's not going to be this perfect circular thing. I may be adding a little bit of clay to kind of get that, and I think I will, but obviously not at this point. It's way too wet, but so you twist that just a little bit more. Twisty. Yeah. There we go. It's twisted. Now, take my sponge, squeeze most of the water out of it there. Just kind of clean this up a little bit. Get some of that slip that was on my hands that were on it. Just kind of wiping that off, clean it up just a little bit. Again, more cleaning and more refining will be done when it's leather hard. But not quite at this time. And I'll put a little more detail in the stem, make it a little more rough. And mimic that twisting motion that's in there with some other tools, but that'll be in another video. Not too bad. It looks pretty good. Remove some of these bumps here. Also, at the end of this, I will be poking a hole in the bottom so the air can escape out and the moisture can escape out as it's fired. I don't want to take the chance of any moisture being caught inside this pumpkin as we fire it. So, because I won't need to, I guess. There'll be holes in it for the actual design and face of the jack-o'-lantern. So, Okay, well, there we go. A nice pumpkin that will become a jack-o'-lantern. Okay, catch you in the next video.